right, so let's talk warranty real quick, right? So this is something I've touched on a couple times, but I guess I've never really made a video of its own. I don't think this will take too long, but let's just go over real quick. So warranty is, for me, is some of the scary shit. Not because I don't have faith in my own product and willing to cover something if I cause a failure for whatnot. But the problem is that, as I realize, there's a lot of fucking dingbats out there, and I've seen my fair share of them. And this is my top fear for warranty. When I realized kind of early on that this is a problem, right? I used to do when I first started in South Florida, and I was advertising a lot down here. I used to do a lot of stock rebuilds. So one day one engine I had sold and went out, and it was a guy who was buying it, who was doing a swap for a friend. He was doing a swap for a friend that had blew up his engine, and he was getting him a 0 miles engine to put in there to replace it, right? So this is the one I was telling you guys about that were some of you guys may remember, where I said the oil pump failed on his shit, and like I said, it wasn't covered in the warranty because it was an old oil pump. I warned it was an old oil pump, and said I didn't know how healthy it was or wasn't. I just put it on to fill up the hole in the space it was so it could be runnable. So the decision was made to run with that oil pump, and the oil pump light came on. So we worked out a deal for some trade and money, and then he brought the car back, and I swapped out the oil pump for him. Now I did the oil pump job, and I parked it outside the bay to let it run to make sure that the light was going to be gone, and not come back. In the process of doing that, and I was with a friend that night, and he turned around, I was like, oh my God, what the fuck's going on? The car's smoking like crazy. So I'm like, holy shit. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So we gotta fucking pop the hood, and the coolant is gushing out of the fucking radiator, right? Turns out that the lower radiator hose, I think it was like a little stretched or some shit, and it was something that they couldn't reach over properly or what. I don't remember the exact thing, but I do remember what it was causing it, is that the hose wasn't clamped down properly. So it was like, oh my God. So like it wasn't clamped, and it was just piss and fucking coolant. And so he had to turn off the car, wait for it to cool down, put the hose on properly, clamp it down, fill it up with coolant, run it again to make sure everything was good, and it was. So the whole thing is that for warranty, I got to go with professional installation, because and that's immediately what I was talking to my friend about, and he's a little bit better business minded than I am. He's a little bit more ruthless, and to be honest, you have to be to protect yourself. Same thing, like another guy I know, Eddie over Genesis Automotive, also very ruthless, doesn't care how well he knows you. He's whatever his selling policy is, that's what it is, and it's the same for everybody. He doesn't budge, he doesn't care the criticism or whatever. It is what it is, and it protects you. You want to protect your customer, but you also want to protect yourself from dummies. So it got me thinking, like, what happens if I'm selling an engine block to somebody, right? Because there's one thing to sell a complete engine and then have a failure. It narrows down the problems a little bit. But what if I'm selling an engine block to somebody, it's just a block, and then they're putting the head on or whatever and everything, getting in a car, and they fuck up something. And then that shit's fucked up when they started, or not long after they started, and then they're coming back to me like, Chris, well, this shit's fucked up. Like, well, it's fucked up because probably something you did. So again, it causes a worry for warranty, and then it causes another worry because of high performance. And then like high performance engine build, you could have a shit go wrong on the dyno. It could be because of a bad tune, or a shit go wrong on the streets because of some kind of just whatever the abuse that these engines take. So then I started doing a little research, like, well, what are people doing for warranty for built engines? And then I realized that most people don't warranty built engines, like performance engines. Like you get your build, and then it is what it is, because there's too many factors in it that can cause a failure that don't necessarily have anything to do with the process of the engine building and the parts or whatnot. So then I was like, okay, well, I gotta play with this a little bit now. So for a stock engine build, which hasn't really been too much of an issue for me because I haven't done any in a long time for anybody. I mean, specifically, I've done case by case recently. A guy came to me with an engine, and I rebuilt the stock rebuild for him. Did a stock rebuild. So what I always say to everybody, every time I ship somebody something, like, hey, any concerns, questions, concerns, or complaints, bring them to me. Like, I don't want somebody to feel like they see something wrong, and then without me without me having a chance to explain to somebody who may not understand what they're seeing, they just go out and start bashing, right? Now, at the end of the day, I know as I grow that I'm not going to be able to stop that. It's going to happen. There's going to be somebody who's going to have a gripe, and he's going to talk shit. and there's nothing I can do about that. I mean, I can try to mitigate it as much as possible, but eventually there's gonna be somebody that's gonna be pissed off at me for whatever reason. I'm not gonna be able to do much about it. But right now it's a little easier. So any questions, concerns, complaints, just hit me up and we'll address it. So that's one thing. So for a stock rebuild, I guess I can say that 30 days for the off chance that somebody's getting a stock engine for me, 30 days I'll give the warranty for. And I think because 30 days, if there's anything problem with the build process, if I've done anything wrong, it'll show up pretty soon. I think it should show up a lot earlier than that. If I've done anything wrong, built that engine wrong in any way, you're gonna know pretty much right away. So 30 days, if you've been running, anything after that, I'm gonna say you're on your own, just because of the fact that, especially Honda guys, bro, like how many times you get a stock engine out there and you're just beating the fuck out of it because whatever, so how can I know that, your shit's not fucking knocking or overheating or whatever because for whatever reason, not necessarily because the engine's bad. All right. As far as if you're getting an engine block for me, just an engine block, or you're getting just a head for me, I'm not gonna fucking warranty any kind of overheating thing. Why? Because I meticulously check. Like unless you can like if you get a head for me and you fucking come pull it apart and whatever, and you find that I missed like a crack in the head or whatnot, then 100% I got you. But if you got overheating issues and it's because the surface, that's just not the case, because I check that and I check it to make sure we're good there. So it's not going to be, you're not going to get a warp block for me. You're not going to get a warp head for me. So if you got overheating, you got to be checking whatever else is used on your shit. As far as the spin bearing, that's something, it's one of those things. It's hard because I can't guarantee that you're not the one out there fucking with it, but I guess I can give, within a certain window of opportunity, like, hey, it shouldn't be happening that soon unless you just went out there and fucked it up. And so anyway, so my whole thing is when it comes back down to a built block or whatever, if you've got a built engine for me, the chances are that I want to talk to you on a regular, because I want to know when you get it up, when you get it tuning. I want to see the dyno numbers. I want to see the street pulls and whatnot. That's good for the channel. It's good for me. So if you stay in contact with me, the chances are that if something happens, even if it's not my fault, I still got you. Case in point, Lewis. He wants to go bigger on his block, and he wants to go for 1,000 horsepower, and I got him free. Like, he's gonna have to buy parts because I can't do that. Now, if he wants to come to me for a sleeve block core, I have one available that I'm willing to give him for it, so he can get a free block for me, and then he just buys pistons and rods, right? And then I'm willing to do the labor for free. So, and that goes for a lot of my guys that have kept in contact with me. Edgar has kept in contact with me with the B20 that I built. So if something happens with him, I got him. Also, I already told him too that if he wants to upgrade, I got him when the time comes. If he wants to go K, Lewis again, I've got him. So far, everybody who's kept in touch with me, we kept a good rapport. I support you. The way I see it is, once you're VHP engines, man, you are VHP engines. If you keep good contact with me, we keep a good relationship, you're not annoying, you're not an asshole, then I got you. I got your back. If you want to upgrade in the future or whatnot. Now, I can't say this is an indefinite situation. I can't say that I got this. Because right now, the way I'm kind of practicing is, if we're got a good relationship, it's a buy one, get one type deal for me. Like, you buy a block for me, we keep a good relationship, and you want to upgrade, or if something happens, you got a failure, come back to me again, we'll do another one, and it will cost you nothing. I can do that for you at least once if we're on good terms. If you're willing to cover the cost of parts and whatnot. So while I can't per se, just like if you blow up your engine, for like a performance wise, Chris is just going to refund you your whole total for your cost of the build or whatnot. That's just, I can't do that. There's too many factors involved. But if you want to come back to me, then I got you on something else. But here's also another thing too, if let's say that your first startup, like you get a build block for me on your first startup, you got a problem, and we can find a way to prove this. Like, you got video footage of you dropping the engine in the first start, and you got a problem right away. Then again, if it's something that I've done that I felt that I fucked up on, I got you, right? But that's just I want to support everybody who comes through VHP Engines to get an engine block build. Right now, my workflow is slow enough to where I can definitely keep up with everybody and do follow-ups and checkups and whatnot, as long as you keep in contact. There are some people out there that have gotten a bill for me and disappeared, for better or for worse. I have no idea what happens to them, so I'm not going to chase you. If it's up to you to keep in contact with me. So VHP Engines is here to support everybody who comes to me for a build choice, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you're a nagger, or you're an asshole, or you're somebody who's second guessing me, going to somebody else all the time, talk shit behind my back, and I find out about it, or you're just throwing shade around, then yeah, you can forget about any warranty there. Because if I can't, I'm not gonna deal with that kind of shit. It's just too much. But yeah. Also, guys, I do realize that, I have given everybody who's gotten a bill for me, has gotten direct work for me, gets my phone number. Obviously, I want to keep a direct line of contact, not just social media. But I do also realize too that now that people are getting my phone number, that my phone number may circulate. Now, the people who know me well and long term, they generally hit me up before they give the number out. They're like, "Hey, man, I got somebody who's so and so that wants a build or whatnot. Do you mind if I give them your number?" And I'll give permission and whatnot, and it's fine. And I prefer it like that, to be honest. I don't like to be blindsided from people giving me calls from numbers I don't understand, know who they're from. I don't answer phone calls from people from numbers I don't recognize. And while I don't mind answering text messages, I would much rather would be on social media instead of somebody blowing up my phone, because the dings are separate from social media to text message, and I like to differentiate who's trying to talk to me or whatnot. So if you are somebody who has my phone number, please don't give it out. Just send them to social media. There's so many different places you can go to talk to me now. It's ridiculous. It's like you got emails, you got Facebook, you got YouTube comments, you got Instagram DMs, you got Twitter, even if you want to. There's a lot of places, a lot of routes you can go to get hold of me. I would rather that than my personal number. There's even a few guys out there right now who call me that I'm just like, I'm not answering their calls anymore. It's like it's one of those people, people who friends of a friend, like, because I know you through this, then you help me out whenever, and I just don't have time for that shit anymore. It's like I'm just not answering those phone calls because I know every time that this person calls, I know what it's about, and it's like it gets to the point where, again, not to sound cold, but just because you know somebody that I know doesn't mean that we're like instant buddies. Like, to never have a face-to-face with you and you're constantly calling my phone for long-ass conversations when I literally am charging that on Patreon, right? Like, I'm literally charging $20 a month if you want a long conversation from me, because my time is money, and I don't want to waste my time that I have at home with my family or time that I have at work to be answering your questions and whatnot. Especially, like, I never get anything out of it, and it may sound a little fucked up, but it's true, bro. You're taking my personal time, and if I'm not getting anything from it, then what are we doing here? So yeah, that's just it. That's just something I wanted to throw out there, and maybe help assuage some of you guys or whatnot, or not. If just so you can expect what the deal is with me when you're dealing with me. All right, guys. So social media links are in the description below, as is the website and Patreon. Patreon is for discounts and raffles and giveaways. Although we're not going to get to the raffles and giveaways until we get 100 patrons, and we're still pretty far from that. We only got 11 guys. Got to step those rookie numbers up, so you guys can start getting more out of it. $1 a month is all you need at the minimum. All right, guys, so thanks for watching, and peace.